G'day, my name's Chris, and this is your weekly wrap of what made news in the world of renewables and, well, electric mobility, because it's like Geneva last week, for week commencing the 4th of March 2019. Nissan Australia released information about the Leaf, pricing and date. I've got several news stories about Tesla and their advertising practices in Germany, Shanghai loans and supercharger updates, the Geneva Auto Show 2019 highlights, India EV subsidy scheme continues, and has the federal coalition changed its tune on renewables, plus energy from outer space. First up, Nissan Australia has announced that its second generation Leaf will hit stores in August this year and start from $49,000 plus on-road costs. The new Leaf will only be available in a single high-spec grade with a 40 kilowatt battery capable of 270 kilometers of range based upon the worldwide harmonized light vehicle combined cycle test. In terms of performance, it's a zippy little thing with 110 kilowatts of power, 320 newton meters of torque, and other features like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a complete suite of safety systems, one-pedal driving with its proprietary e-pedal tech, and it's capable of actually bringing the car to a complete stop. Nissan has known that there's 11,000 people who have put their interest in, so if you want to be one of those who actually get the car, you can now actually pre-order your new Nissan Leaf by visiting nissan.com.au/Leaf. Next, Chinese electric car startup NIO has cancelled its planned Shanghai factory after announcing a $1.4 billion loss. NIO is actually a young Chinese car company, and they make the ES8S. It's actually a good looking premium SUV, which, well, if I could buy one down under, I probably would. It's a 7-seater crossover and costs less than a third of a Model X, starting at 448,000 Chinese yuan, or about $95,000 Australian. It boasts a 70 kilowatt battery pack and a range of 335 kilometers, and they say it do from 0 to 100 in just 4.4 seconds. NIO reports that almost 13,000 were built in 2018, and that in 2018 its revenue of $720 million US gave them a net loss of $1.4 billion. This meant that their planned Shanghai factory was cancelled. In a statement, in 2017, NIO signed framework agreements with memorandums with the government and related entities in Jiading, Shanghai, to build a manufacturing plant for NIO. Recently, the company has agreed in principle with these contractual parties to terminate this plan for manufacturing pending signing of a definitive termination agreement. Fortunately, they'll keep making cars with the Chinese state-owned GAC Motors, who actually currently build the ES8. And hopefully this promising car company will continue to make EVs and will get back into a financial position to once again reignite and build its own factory. Next, Tesla has agreed to stop showing prices after fuel savings in Germany. The German auto body industry, I can't even begin to pronounce this. Just be right back. Hang on. Okay. Say it now.
Wettbewerbszentrale.
Wettbewerbszentrale, whatever how you pronounce that. They have told Tesla they've got until March 12 to stop doing this practice. Well, why? Because they found that Tesla had been using random, non-transparent fuel saving estimates, and that fuel savings for the Model 3 are not actually deducted from the vehicle's actual listed price upon purchase. Now, Tesla does this practice in Australia as well as many other manufacturers. But I gotta say, as a consumer, it's very misleading and does not offer real world value. That is, a clear drive-away price. For instance, imagine you shop for clothes and they offer some sort of sticker pricing that says, this garment will last you 5 years and cost you only $10. But when you actually look at the fine print and you go to pay, it's actually $50. So, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Tesla, Toyota, Hyundai, whoever, I don't care who you are, please stop doing this and thanks in advance. Last week, Tesla unveiled its version 3 superchargers, capable of peak charge rates of 250 kilowatts per car. These new chargers will add 125 kilometers range to a Model 3 in just 5 minutes. And if you had a cable that was big enough, you could actually get 1,600 kilometers into them in an hour. Worldwide, Tesla has more than 12,000 superchargers, and well, this is one of the reasons I watch Tesla so closely. It's not because of their vision, it's also because of like leading technologies like this. So let's take a look at the specs and do a bit of analysis. V3 is actually a completely new architecture for supercharging, and it features a new 1 megawatt power cabinet that's actually similar to the utility scale products and supports full charge rates to each car that's connected to it. For those familiar with current superchargers, you'll know that each station divides its current between two cars if they're connected to the one unit. It will cut charging times by 25 to 50% and null its slow charging during high demand periods. To get this rate of charge, a few things are required. First, Tesla will push out a free over-the-air software update to all Tesla owners, including improving the charge times for V2 chargers from 125 to 145 kilowatts. Another exciting development and something unique to Tesla, which no other manufacturer is doing, is as of March 10, 2019, when you put your destination on your maps to a supercharger location, your car will actually start warming the battery and prepping it to be able to receive that higher rate of charge, thereby enabling faster fuel times. Well, it's a big one. For Model S and X owners, they'll only get like a 25% improvement due to the car's temperature management systems. And for Aussies, well, let me point out the obvious. And, well, it's almost like been 3 years since the Model 3 unveiling, and, well, they're still not available down under, are they? No. But importantly, these V3 superchargers are only available in very few locations, namely Northwest America. So if you're a viewer and traveling to California, hey, send us a video story via the link below. My take? Well, this actually gets EVs one step closer to ICE car refuel times and removes that barrier of downtime needed to get you on your way for long car trips. Saying to someone that you only need to stop for like 15 minutes every 3 hours or so sounds completely palatable and, well, something that most of us do when driving long distances anyway. You know, you fuel, you pee, you get a coffee, and you get going. This is very exciting and something that no doubt we'll see other car makers offering and more. Next, I thought I'd cover some EV announcements from the Geneva Car Show just held last week. However, whilst exciting and potentially decision-making for some, remember, these unveilings fall firmly into a segment I like to call First up, Honda unveiled what some are calling cute, but I think it's a little bit dubbed the Honda E prototype. It will be the company's first production battery electric vehicle intended for European markets only. Capable of 200 kilometers and will fast charge in about 8 to 80% in 30 minutes. Now, as stated in my intro, I want to point out that Honda did show a similar version of this called the Urban EV at the Frankfurt Car Show in 2017. And that controversially, Honda, in its bid to go all electric, will actually close UK factories in Swindon from 2021 as it moves the electrification of its fleet to Japan. So with that in mind, Honda did say that it will bring a production-ready vehicle by the end of 2019 with deliveries soon to follow in 2020. No price has been announced yet. Next, Harley-Davidson. Yeah, you heard me. Harley-Davidson, go figure. They confirmed a long-awaited Livewire was entering production and will be available by the end of the year. Now, supporting a range of 225 kilometers in its urban mode or 142 in the combined cycle, accelerations 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. With a built-in level 3 charger or standard DC fast charging, you can actually get the battery from 0 to 80% in 40 minutes or 100% in just an hour. With no official price yet from Harley, some organizations have been told that they will start at $43,000. Yikes. As someone who rides motorbikes, this is amazing and I like to see that a manufacturer better known for the loud pipes and all-guzzling ways is producing something that could, in theory, be a whole lot greener. Good job, Harley. Before I bring you what I think is the finest examples and of promises from the Geneva Car Show, here are some of the EVs hopefully coming our way in the next few years. Audi showed off the Q4 e-tron that will hit stores in 2020. Fiat presented an all-new EV to celebrate the 120th anniversary with the Centroventi, which translates to 120. And for those needing a people mover or a bit of class, I present to you the Mercedes EQV concept. And now, the one which will make many hearts flutter and get people excited about EVs, the Artista by Penofin, and apologies if I mispronounced that. Built as the most powerful road legal car to ever be designed and built in Italy, the Artista is a fully electric hypercar that can go from 0 to 100 km per hour in under 2 seconds. Costing a whopping $3.6 million, it uses 4 motors, one on each wheel, to create a total power output of 1400 kilowatts. Like, wow. This thing is going to excite and get people talking about EVs, so well done. Staying on promises for a few minutes more and doing a very awkward segue from cars to politics, I thought this next little biffo between our 2 former prime ministers is worthy of airtime. Not because it's funny, but because it actually indicates a shift within the conservative ranks that perhaps, just perhaps, renewable energy and investing in tech doesn't pollute our world and is actually a good thing. It all started with Tony Abbot, who previously wanted Australia to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, but reversed his position recently at a candidate forum, arguing the circumstances had changed since the government ditched its emissions obsession. But at the same time, he still favoured more coal-fired power, and that coal-fired power remained the cheapest form of baseload power. This caught the attention of Malcolm Turnbull, so guess what?
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
He tweeted, "We're now able to have lower emissions and lower prices, but we need a plan to use it with the engineering and economics rather than ideology and innumerate idiocy." He goes on to tweet several key facts about hydropower, but this one I like the most. The reason the fossil fuel lobby and their apologists rail against Snowy Hydro 2.0 and have tried to stop it is because it delivers massive storage which makes renewables reliable and enable our progression to lower emissions and lower energy prices. Okay, enough of the fun and games in politics. Let's get into something truly amazing that sounds like it's from Star Trek. Solar farms in space could be renewable energy's final frontier. See what I did there? So, China is working on taking a solar power station into orbit by 2050, a feat that could make it the first nation to harness the sun's energy in space and beam it to Earth. To do this, they would need to launch tens of thousands of solar satellites that would link up and form an enormous cone-shaped structure that orbits 35,000 kilometers above the Earth. The swarming satellites would then beam microwaves of energy wirelessly to ground-based receivers that are like giant nets measuring up to 6 kilometers wide. With the system being that far out, the sun always shines, and you won't have that night and day effect of no solar generation for 8 to 12 hours at a time. And get this, it's estimated the system would generate about 2,000 gigawatts of power. A few more stories to come out of this episode, but before I do so, I'd like to say a huge thank you for those who have subscribed to me. Your support and feedback keeps me going and it means a lot to me. And for those who are new to the channel, welcome. This year, I'm ramping up my focus on all things electrics from EVs, mobility, and other devices, as well as, of course, renewable technology and how people like you and me are making it part of our lives for a cleaner, greener future. So if you're enjoying this and you want to see more, please subscribe. It's free. Cheers. Okay, next, details have emerged of Tesla's Chinese loans for its Shanghai production plant. Tesla has secured $521 million in loans from Chinese banks to build its vehicles and battery factory in the country, putting the car maker a step closer to producing Model 3 sedans at its first overseas plant. News agencies learned that the deal through regulatory filings shows that the loans mature in March 2020 and have also optioned up to $700 million in equity and an extension to 2023 should they need to. In January, Elon Musk estimated that Tesla will need roughly $500 million to get the plant built and production to start, and that 3,000 Model 3s a week would be produced. This comes on the back of Tesla settling a $920 million convertible bond that matured March 1st, which was covered in full by the cash on hand of $3.7 billion that they've still got in the bank. So good job, Tesla. And in my last story for today, but I would like to suggest maybe the most important, India has confirmed the second phase of its faster adoption manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles subsidies program, and that will continue in its new form from April 1st this year. As I've detailed in previous episodes on Renewable News, a lot of countries around the world, including India, have a plan in place to completely ban the sale of internal combustion engines. And most of these have incentives in place to help consumers cross that gap that often exists between high-priced electric cars compared to their fossil fuel counterparts. Now, I didn't know this, but India has actually had this incentive program for several years now, and this FAME 2 will continue for another 3 years at a budget of $2 billion. According to the government, the funds will be able to support the purchase of electric varieties of 1 million scooters or motorbikes, 500,000 tricycles, 55,000 cars, and 7,000 electric buses. In addition to this, they also plan on installing a charging station for every 3x3 square kilometre area. And those numbers don't blow you enough, then, well, wait for this. Especially my Australian friends where no EV subsidy scheme currently exists. So for those seeking an electric car, subsidies of about $3,000 per car are now available. So Australian politicians, can you just maybe pay attention and maybe do a study trip to India? That'd be much appreciated. Okay, before I go, this weekend I'll be at the EV Expo in Melbourne. If you're interested and you maybe want to see what that's like, check up here. I did a video on it last year. I'll be bringing you, of course, another episode of Renewable News plus a special edition on this expo. If you've got questions or comments, please leave me a comment down below and I'll be sure to read them and respond as required. And to my awesome viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up, consider sharing on your socials, or if you do nothing, stay green.